Okay. Sam, come forward, please, my friend. Most of you know, so Sam is our new intern here helping us in our church. And he's just been here for a month now, Sam?
Yeah.
Month?
Just over a month. Yeah.
Just over a month, and already, it's been a blessing. Okay? So already, hopefully, so you've been great. He's been doing a great job with our kids club and with our youth as well. And this evening, we just invited Sam just to share a little bit more about his story. Cool?
All right.
Bless us. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. I've seen some new faces in today, which is very nice. For those of you who don't know, you've heard that I'm Sam. I came here all the way from America. America! Yep. Mason's also from America. You may be wondering why I'm here, or how I got here. And that's the story I plan to share with you today. It's quite a lengthy story, so I've tried to condense it down a little bit, so we're not here all day. But if you'd like to know more, you can come talk to me afterwards, or really any time, and I'd be happy to talk with you about that. Growing up, I grew up in a Baptist church. My grandfather was the pastor, so I grew up regularly going to church and having that as a common thing in my life. So I had this sort of foundation of knowledge in my faith and in Christianity. I was baptized when I was 10 years old. I knew all of the information. I knew how to answer all the questions in my youth club or kids club or Sunday school, but I never really applied that to my life until I got much older. My parents were divorced when I was 3, so I grew up going back and forth between them and kind of seeing two sides of the world, really. My father's a Christian, and my grandparents are Christian as well. But when I would go to my mother's side, I saw the opposite of that. I was exposed to a lot of drugs and alcohol abuse during that time as a child. I just grew up with it as a normal thing, and I never thought anything of it. It was just the other side of my life that I had to keep in, and I wasn't able to really express that with anybody. It was just normal to me. I went back and forth between my parents until I was about 13. That's when I decided that I would refrain from staying with my mom as much, because I knew that it wasn't good for me to be exposed to that, and I knew that it was wrong. But at the same time, I still have this belief in God and still trying to figure out how to apply that into my life. And after I made this decision to not go over there anymore, my life kind of went the other way, and I decided to really go against God and do whatever I wanted to do. So whether that be, drinking or chasing girls or sneaking out and partying or whatever it is that I felt would fill that void in my heart. I did that up until I was about 16, and God took my family from Colorado and decided to move them over 2,000 miles away to Florida. So the place that I grew up in my entire life, all the people that I knew, I was taken out of that, and I was put in a completely new place that I knew nothing about. Plus, that was in the middle of COVID, so there was nobody out, nothing was open. I wasn't really doing anything. So there was a lot of time for me to really sit and reflect on my life and how I got to this point. After COVID started slowing down and life picked back up to normal, we went to a few churches, but none of them really resonated with me. I still felt like I was going to do what I wanted to do in this. It was just in a new place. I didn't really have the desire to follow God or to implement my beliefs. I still had them. I still had the knowledge. I still didn't apply anything, and I was just living in this empty, lonely pit, trying to fulfill it. There's nothing. You try and you try and you try, but ultimately there's just nothing else you can do. Finally, one random Sunday, my parents decided, well, my father and my stepmother decided that we would go try a different church. And as soon as we went there, it's called the Rock of Winter. As soon as we went there, I immediately caught on with people. I was able to find a community of people who had the same beliefs as me, and some people who even had similar struggles as I did, and I was able to live out what I believed. I was able to, be involved in the youth club, and I was able to serve and help out on Sunday mornings, and I loved it. I did this for about a year and a half. I ended up graduating high school and got a job and was continuing my college. I got a girlfriend, and I thought, this is where it's at. My life is here in Florida. I'm going to finish out my school. I'm doing what I need to do. And then God really brought in Wales into the mix and gave me the opportunity to apply. And I pushed that aside, and I said, no, I'm too busy. I have all these things going on. Why do I have time in my life to go to another country to do these things? It sounds great, but it's not for me. And that went on for weeks and weeks, and God just kept tugging at my heart and bringing it back up and saying, no, this is what you do. This is what you need to do. You need to say yes to me, Samuel. You need to say yes to me, Samuel. Eventually, I got fed up with wrestling and saying no, and I filled out the application and I sent it in. Next thing you know, I'm interviewing and the process is going forward, and I said yes. And I'm here, and I'm here, and I want to grow in my faith, and I want to share Christ with other people and really invest in you guys. This is what I'm here to do. So that's my story up till now.
I have to say, we are very blessed in Gateway, aren't we? Amazing, amazing. Okay. Kids, we are now, I think they can go to the back now if they want. So there are some activities for you to do in the back while we are going to do talk. You can stay where you are, but if you want to do some drawings, now is the time to go, okay? So feel free to do whatever you wish. I'm going to ask Esme to come and read the Bible verse for us in a second. Not yet, was Esme? Over there. So in a second, Esme, I'm going to ask you to come along and do the reading for us. So, Gethin, I know that you like the song. I'm going to sing again, okay? Tell everybody I'm on my way. New friends and new places to see. Life is a journey, isn't it? It's a long journey. And I can look back. I think there is a picture of a map of the South America map somewhere in there. Is that right? Here we go. So for those of you, or most of you know that I'm not Welsh, even though my Welsh accent is wonderful. I'm away all the way from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. And when I look back at my life and the journey that God set for me, it's amazing. I left Rio de Janeiro, and then I went to the north of Brazil. It's quite far away, and then I went back to the south of Brazil. Then I went to Argentina with my parents to be missionaries there, and then from there I went back again to south of Brazil, and then I went all the way up to Wales, where I am today. And let me thank you, Nigel. And let me tell you, what a journey. A lot of time I had great success, sometimes failures. Many times I was full of joy and laughter. And many times I cried a lot. Sometimes I listened to God's instructions, and sometimes not as much. But in all that journey with God, God has been faithful. And hopefully I can say that not just for myself, but for many of you, you can say that God has been faithful to us. And that journey continues until today. Now, if we are on a journey, okay, what do we do when we get tired, weak, fed up, maybe a loss of direction, disappointed? What do we do? Where does your help come from? And remembering who is leading the way in your life. I'm going to ask Esme just to come forward and read Psalm 121 for us, please. Thank you, Esme. Sorry, Esme. Let's try again.
The Lord guards his people, a song for going up to worship. Psalm 121. I look up to the hills, but where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. He made heaven and earth. He will not let you be defeated. He who guards you never sleeps. He who guards Israel never rests or sleeps. The Lord guards you. The Lord protects you as the shade protects you from the sun. The sun cannot hurt you during the day, and the moon cannot hurt you at night. The Lord will guard you from all dangers. He will guard your life. The Lord will guard you as you come and go, both now and forever.
Oh, thank you, Esme. Thank you. Okay, is that off now? Okay. I'm not going to take long, literally 5 to 10 minutes-ish, because our time is going. But I know some people who read this Psalm 121 when they are ready to depart somewhere on a journey somewhere. And other people, and many people like to say this Psalm 121 because that give them or help them to feel protected by God. And some people, they do like the Psalms because it speaks word of promises about God's providence and protection on the life journey. But what is the Psalm 121 all about? You're not very sure, 100%, but as by the theme or the title on the Psalm says, a song for going up to worship. Our best guess is that the Psalm was written to a group of people on a kind of pilgrimage to Jerusalem, people who were on a journey to seek God and spend time with God, maybe on a temple or at a holy place, somewhere where they would have an encounter with God. And also, we can understand that as we read this psalm, as they were reading this psalm many years ago, was a song of blessings to those people as they start their journey. And I just very quick divide this psalm with these 8 verses in 2 parts. The first part is verse 1 and 2, and I'm going to say that is about the traveler's question and confession. And the second part, from 3 to 8, is a blessing from a priest. I look up to the hills, but where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. He made heavens and earth. The Psalms begins with a question that can be that can be related to any of us. Where can I get help? On my journey, in my life, Raphael, when things get tough, where can I get help? Or even better, where can I look for help? Have you sometimes pray something to God or ask God questions about life, and kind of like at the same time that you're asking, I believe the Holy Spirit gives the answer straight away. I don't know about you, but that happens to me sometimes. That I say, God, how about this? How about that? On my journey, this is happening, and same time that I'm kind of, let's say, complaining or not understanding what God's doing, the Holy Spirit coming and give me the answer why that's happening, and that's exactly that's happening to the psalmist when he was writing this psalm. He answered his own question with a confession of faith. He maybe doesn't know how that journey is going to be like, but he's confident that God will be there. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. At the same time that is very confused or very not unsure what's going to happen on that journey. At the same time, he knows that I don't know how this journey is going to be like. I didn't know when I left Rio de Janeiro that many years later I would be doing mission in Wales. I didn't know that. But God knew, and God knows everything. Another point that I like about these Psalms is, and I can observe, is that the hills or the mountains also, they are upward in direction. And how often when we are in troubles and difficulty times, our eyes, instead of look up, we look down. You may be in a situation that you feel like that, isn't it? That the journey is not going so well, Rafa, as I wanted, as expected. But we know that God is a God who called us, that when the trouble comes and the hard times come, that you'd look up to the mountains. Now, the mountains are not the hope, but the mountains help you to look up. What's God saying here? That He's calling us when you're going through tough times, when the journey is not going as well as you wish. Instead of like feel like downcast, and instead of feel like down in your thoughts and your hearts and all the horrible things that can happen to us, God called us to look up, but not the mountains itself, but beyond the mountain. Not the creation, but the Creator. And sometimes the mountain can represent, for us as a church, our house group. The mountain could represent our Sunday service, could represent our outreach program, our youth and kids program. They are wonderful. They are great. When you look at those things, they are great for us to go and be part of. But to know that the aim is not those things, but what we are going to find in those meetings. Isn't it? When you go to the church, it's not just about the church. It's great to be here, but what can I get when I gather together in a church? When I look to the mountain, I see a place of protection, something that's big, unmovable, that stays still, strong. But God says, look up, keep your eyes there, but go beyond what you can see. Go and see what I can do, or who I can be in your life. And very quick, going to the second part of this psalm, is that verse 3 says, He will not let you be defeated. He who guards you never sleeps. And many people believe that at this part of the psalm was a different writer or a different character taking over. Maybe a priestly person or someone who would be someone at the time that would give blessing to the people who are ready to depart. And here we can see the identity and the character of God. Who is God? God is a keeper. God's identity is to protect, shield, watch over, guard. And what does God promise to do? God promised to keep us. He promised to guard us. He promised to keep us safe of the dangers and in the day and the dangers that we may find in the night. But also we need to understand that the Bible is not saying that when you go through tough times in life and we expect God to show up, and sometimes I feel like, Rafael, it's not for me. I prayed one day about it and nothing happened and it was really tough. God wasn't there. I just want to let you know that I've been in situations in my life that I felt the same. I felt that on my journey with God, I was alone and didn't see God there. But just wanted to take and to, why not talk to Him? We all say to our kids from our kids club that prayer is very simple. And sometimes we can really struggle, can we? Because prayer is just having a conversation with God. And sometimes God is waiting for us to have that conversation with Him and be honest with Him. God, the journey is being tough. I know the aim. I can see the mountain. I know that I want to go there to spend time with you, to worship you, to have an encounter with you. But I want to look beyond that. I want to have a relationship with you right now. Even before I start the journey, I want to have a relationship with you. Remember that God, He is never late. You may think that, God, it's too late now. God's never late. He always comes into our situation at the right time. Even though the right time for you is late, God knows things that we have no clue. What I recommend you to do, that God is a God that always out there to show you His power, His mercy, His care, and His miracle into your situation. And God is right there on the journey of your life with you, if you invite Him to be part of the journey. I'm just going to ask Chloe now just to come forward. We're just going to have a time of reflection about our journey with God. She's going to explain the activities that we are about to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Raf. We're not going to do the activity, actually, because we are running out of time, but can you put the photo, is there a photo? Okay, so this is what we are going to do, but we're not going to do. But it'd be good for you to think about it in the next few songs that we're singing, and perhaps do it when you go home. Or if you've done Kentucky Hope, you've probably already done it. If not, sign on to the next Kentucky Hope course. You're welcome, Claire. Yeah, so this is a picture. So the line is how we probably all want our life to be. I'd love my life to be nice and straight and easy, but actually our lives are all messed up because we're human and we're messed up. So this represents, the dotted line is then, I don't know whose picture this is, mine's probably got a lot more up and down than this, but yeah, so the dotted line represents what our life is actually like. So we go through a lot of times, as Raf was just saying, and as Sam was saying in his testimony, that isn't so nice and straight, and actually we have highs and we have lows all the time, and some of you might be going through some lows at the moment. So yeah, I'd like us to, in the next few songs, I'm going to ask Oscar to come up in a minute. Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, so Oscar's going to introduce a song, and in that song maybe let's think about these times in our lives that have been highs and have been lows, but then also appreciate that Jesus, well, I know definitely when I'm looking back at the highs and lows in my life that I can see how Jesus was working in those times, and actually, at the times, I didn't see it at all. And I was probably more so frustrated, like, Jesus, where are you? Why can't you help me through these times? But he was there, like that poem, he was there, and he was carrying me through those times. So yeah, let's think about that in the next song. Oscar, do you want to come up?